Hey everybody, it's your buddy Beard Grizzly. One phrase. One phrase was all it took to make this community spark up in conversation and question an established idea within this community. None of our powers will remain. All of them will go away. I've been yelled at, called an idiot, and further told to stop lore since I obviously have no idea what I'm talking about. What you may come to find out is I don't say something without a meaning behind it. Sometimes I need a couple more links to clean up a theory before I release it, but if I'm given no counter-argument from research, I have no reason to believe my claims are unfounded. This does not make them true. The same goes with this topic of how we lose our powers and how nothing will remain. Not Night Stalkers, not Stormcallers, not Sunbreakers. From an obvious gameplay standpoint, I could simply point out that having anything remain from the previous game might be a silly idea, to give new players and old equal footing within the universe Bungie is creating. From a lore standpoint, and as we discussed last time, I feel time is the decided factor in how long it will take for us to lose our current powers. Should the worst happen and our link is completely severed from the Traveler, however, it's felt we will keep the 3 tertiary subclasses. But from teachings, theories, and ideas that we've been able to, as a community, piece together, there are some holes in this idea. Sorry for all the preamble, and also sorry ahead of time because I can't always figure humor into these things. We'll be going down each class and their connections, so here we go. We'll start with Night Stalker. Draw from the void. Light the way. A lone hunter stalks the night, firing arrows into the darkness. There is no hiding, no escape. In the distance, the beast falters, tethered to the void. The killing blow comes without hesitation, without mercy. There's truth in the edge of light, and beneath that truth is a deeper truth, hidden from all but a few. That truth is this: monsters need not fear the night. Do not hunt the monster. Become the monster. I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer. Fear is the little death that brings total obliteration. I will face my fear. I will permit it to pass over me and through me. And when it has gone past, I will turn the inner eye to see its path. Where the fear has gone, there will be nothing. Only I will remain. A hunter's true issue with the void? Fear. Uncertainty. A hunter by the name of Tevis Larson says as much.
I've had a dozen hunters ask me why it's so hard to summon a duskbow. I asked them what they thought of the void, and their eyes told me everything. You can't be afraid. That's the secret. No fear.
Tevis, log entry 19338. A skill that only a few hunters possess, Night Stalkers pull from the void to tether down their foes. But that's the key, isn't it? Pulls from the void. Where'd I put that stuff on? Ulan-tan. I will go on record as stating that ulan-tan's ideas and theories are also just that, but he has been right in the past with the Shard of the Traveler found in the Chamber of Night mission. For me, I've started to regard these ideas as more truth, or at least that there's a line of it within these theories. The theory of ulan-tan's we are concerned with happens to be that self-same one. Therefore, if light connects across space and time, what is the void? What role does the vacuum, the absence, play? What stops the darkness from entering into the places between the stars? The answer is simple. The void is just another type of light. Ulan-tan. What ulan-tan states here is not void light, but the void itself. He claims the thing, the area that is the void, is linked within the powers of the light itself. Until we found the Shard of the Traveler in one of their deepest pits, we had no idea if this theory held any weight. We do now. With the ideas of the void out of the way, what about the bow specifically? How do we gain that kind of power? Cade says it all.
A lot of us are loners, but that's not the only path. Some of us know the difference a fire team makes. Some of us, we touch the void. Tevis is our most experienced Night Stalker. We can't afford to lose him. Plus, he's an old friend, owes me money. Alive, or the other thing, we need to find Tevis. There aren't a lot of Night Stalkers in the field. We can't afford to lose his connection with the void to the Vex.
Some of us pull from the void. Tevis is our most experienced Night Stalker. These specific words seem to suggest that Night Stalkers are simply a group that we rarely hear of or come in contact with. Tevis himself says as much.
I gave up on the Traveler long ago. But when I heard the Awoken had found a way into the garden, I couldn't resist.
Tevis, log entry 20239. He gave up on the Traveler long ago. He jumped ship, and by the sounds of things had no interest in rejoining the city. Being that Tevis seemed to be a teacher at one point in the Hunter arts, it's worth pointing out again that he would find hunters scared of the Void. Then what of us? How did we receive this kind of power? In his last act, Tevis held the remaining power of his Void bow in his hand, a light that he said was draining without the connection from his ghost. Armed thus, we have the ability to start shooting arrow after arrow in a flurry of power. Just how powerful was Tevis to transfer this kind of power to us after his death? All of this without a connection to his ghost, which had been killed on the other side of a Vex Gate. Kind of makes you wonder how much time Tevis had left on his bow without the connection to the Traveler, at the least stuck in that dark place. Being that this power is given to us by someone that had reached out to the Void, not by some forge, not by some great connection, but from a guardian that had a strong connection to the Void and didn't fear it, I ask you how we would keep this power should the Traveler and possibly our ghosts be cut off from us.
Doesn't matter how good you are, you stay out there long enough, you're not coming back. Not the same way you left, anyway.
Tevis. Of course, speaking of forges, that leads to the Sunbreaker. Forge the fury of undying suns. Some Titan orders predate the city, born of a darker time when light was an untamed weapon. The Sunbreakers brought honor to the wild, never seeking the safety of the city. Bound by an oath, they lived as mercenaries, seeking battles and alliances beyond the walls. Now the light of their fire has at last found rank among the city. Wield the hammer of soul with honor, Titan. It is a thing of legend, both past and future. Keeping on track, what is solar energy? It's funny enough, let's ask a hunter.
Why is it golden? Well, let's see. What's the fundamental force we're dealing with here? Solar energy, right? Like from the sun? I swear, you kids come out of the tower greener and greener every year. Why is it gold?
Tevis on Golden Gun. It doesn't matter if it's our sun or the sun of another solar system, stars all handle in the same general manner, conducting fusion at their cores. Our sun, Sol, just happens to be a more goldish-looking star. Solar power is related with fire, radiance, burning things, and otherwise bringing life to places that seem to have none. It's a power Zavala wished he had back in the tower.
Then there are those that find a path outside our walls. Those that take up with leaders they barely understand. So it has ever been with the Sunbreakers. Osiris brokered a contract between the Sunbreakers and the city. Its terms were unacceptable to me. Now the Sunbreakers hate the Vanguard. They hate me.
The Sunbreakers are the most arguable sort within this theory. Their power is crafted, it seems, from a forge. This forge is what grants us the flaming Hammer of Soul, able to give a Titan the ability to finally wield the powers of undying suns. Well, you'd expect this to be natural for a Titan to do, and in the days before the city, it certainly sounds like it was. In fact, I can almost guarantee it was. Saladin Forge. He uses guns and similar equipment same as us, but when his power reaches a peak, he can produce the axe of the Iron Lords. This isn't the only connection of him being a Sunbreaker either. In the Festival of the Lost questline, where we put on his mask and carry out his legacy, we are tasked with getting solar ability kills. Sunbreakers are simply lost to us within the city. We need to regain those abilities through tested combat, which by definition of Forge, does this make sense? Trial by combat, forged in fire, take your pick of the idea. The Fallen adapted the idea pretty well, I'd say, with Archon's Forge, testing their metal and worth within the fires of a mountain. What you wield in your hand by what Oros herself says.
Fire born of man. Fire of the light. Ask yourself, what power do you seek from the Forge, Guardian?
If gunslingers can manifest their light into a weapon, a physical weapon that they can hold, then my contention and argument is how this is any different when it too disappears from the holder when our energy to use the hammer has ended. when Oros, one of the greatest Sunbreakers of her time, refers to it as light.
Here you must prove you are one with the light. Use your ghost to ignite the forge. A Sunbreaker does not answer to any but the will of the light.
Well, how can I not take it as truth? Lastly, the Stormcallers. Harmony within, hurricane without. Meditate. Focus. Draw the static from within. The arc is inside all life. You must feel it take hold, let it flow through, but not consume you. You are a conduit between sky and earth, electricity and matter, life and death. You are a weapon. The arc is inside all life. All life, or at least mammals, start with a spark. That small jolt of electricity is what starts everything. The growth of a human being, the potential it has, what it learns, how it moves, everything that could be related to that life form is linked to arc energy. It can be seen through storms on different planets, even within our solar system, like that on Saturn right now, visibly bubbling with electricity. We can see it on Venus, even through its densely packed clouds. Lightning exists everywhere. Of course, how do we channel this kind of power? Simply put, Ikora thought we were ready to finally focus that last part of light we were missing. The light of life. Sun Singers study the sun. Voidwalkers study the void. Arc is the final step for a warlock to understand that not everything requires parts of space-time to operate, and therein lies the answer to the question, and the reason not every warlock is able to come back from their trance. For as it says in the card, once again, you must feel it take hold, let it flow through, but not consume you. Focus is the key. I knew I'd never fly another mission like that. I recognized the need for a new love. That's why I threw my fresh cognitive skills into understanding the Traveler. How can one entity so quickly and utterly remake an entire world? 50 years later, I'm conversant in high mathematics, particularly topological thoughts and the slippery irreality of light. I'm involved in a project to study the Traveler's terraforming actions right now. Jacob Hardy. As far back as the Golden Age, we've started to study the light and what it could do for us. This led to science, medicine, technology, and how light could be used to alter our quality of life. As humans, we all started to be infused with that power of light. This extended our lifespans and overall health, just to name a couple things noted through the notations of Jacob Hardy. We even started to weaponize these forces, slowly starting to understand paracausality and shoving it into weapons, like that of Rasputin and his satellites, or the enhancing drugs studied by Clovis Bray that would later become Siva. But what humanity lacked and still does at large, no matter how far we may have come in our understanding of arc, void, and solar energies, we still lacked focus to weaponize it like Guardians. Guardians are warriors forged in the Traveler's light, a final hope in a universe falling into darkness. Chosen from the dead by the Traveler's ghosts, Guardians are those rare few able to wield the light as a weapon. We rare few. Guardians are certainly not masters of the light by any stretch, but what we have been granted by our ghosts is the ability to finally focus the elements that are around us. We try to do so today in 2017, harnessing the sun to grant us energy for days upon days through solar panels, solar winds, hot, cold. We try to utilize energy, in particular electricity, in different ways, finding different chemicals and compounds that react to create it with our phones, computers, cables, and wires. And of course, we try to understand the vast black, searching for dark matter, life, radiation, waves of power. And not all of us believe in the same exact uses for these elements in our life, as you always fear what you don't understand. The same is no different of Guardians. Cade worries we'll be afraid to take up the bow, reaching to a power we may not necessarily be willing to project. Zavala is fearful of another uprising, that the Sunbreaker's philosophy and wild use of fire is what caused them to split from the interests of the city and support Osiris. Ultimately, Ikora is the one that simply felt we were ready to try to harness the power that only a chosen few have been able to focus. Every single power we have is linked to the forces of the universe. Through understanding and focus, Guardians are able to wield those powers and forces in terrifying and beautiful ways. Ultimately, though, ghosts are the link to that power, as humans in the city certainly don't have the ability to use them. And ultimately, if the ghosts are fully linked to the Traveler, and if the Cabal are successful in cutting us off from it, then the question is if we will have the ability and time needed to counterattack. After all, we need only look to Tevis Larson to know the outcome of being cut off from our ghosts, at the very least. Rest well, Tevis. We'll carry on your story. Thank you all for listening to this theory and my ideas. I know this is directly counter to a very popular theory that's been presented. If you liked or didn't like what you heard, there's buttons for that. Leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments below, and if you're not sure what to say, you can leave the phrase, Guardians Focus, in a comment below. I welcome any criticism to this theory and will always hear you out. As always, I've been Beard Grizzly, and I'll see you next Spacetime, Guardian. Take care.